Hey guys, what's going on? So today is a little different. I'm not in the garage, I'm working on the computer, going over comments, looking at analytics from the channel, and there's one question that gets asked overwhelmingly. That's right, what I do for a living. Everyone's very curious on how I have the things that I have and what I do, so I figured we'd take a little time and go over just that. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, John Engel here, and I've got some great news. Today we're going to fix that by installing a brand new double din. So today we're going to do an oil change and replace those.
So the first thing that we should probably talk about are some of the myths. Now, I get people that ask me all the time, what do I do? And then they ask my friends, and my friends come up with answers. So there's always the, he's a drug dealer. That's obviously not how I've done this, or I probably wouldn't be making a YouTube channel because it'd probably draw too much attention. Another one that I get all the time is that I was a tech tycoon and sold out some C++, Java-based, whatever, and I made a lot of money off of it. And unfortunately, that one's not true because that one would be legal and make me a lot more money than what I have now. So I would have taken that without any issues. One of the other things is that I get I'm a trust fund baby, and while I wish that was also true, that is not the case. Now, my parents are wonderful and help me with all the ventures that we're going to talk about today. So they support me fully, but they haven't given me a bank account with just unlimited funds in it. So if you guys are watching, I'm waiting on that, and I love you both. Anyway, let's get more into how this has all started. The biggest thing is, what do I do? And that's a very easy answer. Right now, I'm a professor over at a local university. I teach business communications. So that is what I do. Now, if you know the salaries that business communication professors make, you know that I'm not struggling to get a meal. However, it does not afford me the house, the cars, the lifestyle that I've wanted and I guess come accustomed to, even though when we start back at this process, it's not where I came from. So I'm not used to all of this stuff. It's just, I worked really hard for it and it takes time. And that's the biggest thing that people don't like to hear. They want to hear that I won the lottery, I sell drugs, or I do something to get this money that is more than just work hard, because they want something that they can look back and go, oh, well, see, I couldn't have done that anyway. And that's not the case at all. Any one of you that is watching this video could be exactly where I am. Now, there are pros and cons to it too. I mean, I've done without for a long time. My very first house cost $49,000, $50,000. And it was not a double wide, but pretty much the same size as one. Had a built-on garage that was all kind of thrown together by the person that lived there before me. It's my first venture into real estate, and I was able to make quite a bit of money off of that first property because it was, one, so cheap when I bought it, and it was dual zone. So the person that bought it now actually owns a business in it. And as we know, commercial real estate is always more expensive than residential real estate. So with that being said, I did learn a little bit there, but we have to go even further back in time to really start where this all happened. When I was somewhere around 10 years old, my dad started a collectible shop. So it had baseball cards, basketball cards, we had Pokemon cards, Magic cards, and we also bought and sold video games, used video games. And at the time, that was really a big market. So that's the first introduction into business I ever had. And I learned very quickly that you can get things that you want and still make money off of them, or at least hold the residual value. And I've taken that lesson and used it in everything that I've done in life. So when you guys are all going out and spending $8 on a coffee, I'll stop at the gas station and buy like a 76-cent coffee. Why? Because to me, that $8 value that I save is worth more than the value that Starbucks gives me for having their container. Now, it's not always like that. For instance, people make comments about like my watch. It's a Rolex. So Rolexes are very expensive and they do have a depreciation on them as well. So if I'm going to look for this watch, what am I going to do? Go out and buy a brand new one? Probably not. I'm going to try to get as much depreciation out of it as possible. Now, after they depreciate, they do start to appreciate. This watch is actually worth more now than when I bought it 5 years ago. So you do have to look at these things, everything as a business. Let's get into cars. So I started this channel in 2017, and that's where a lot of you see the big house, bunch of cars, everything, and you kind of take it in a snapshot that I've had all this and I didn't have to build it, it just came to me. And that's where you're mistaken, because 26 years ago is where this all started with a 68 Mustang. I loved the car, and it was the first time that I learned you could actually make money with a vehicle. We bought the car in 1995, 96. And it's somewhere around 95, 96 for me to use as my daily driver. When I bought this car, it was $3,000, put some work into it and sold it for $5,000. Made a couple $100 because we had put some work into it. And of course, what do I go out and do? I buy a brand new 98 Mustang. Because, well, I figured if I can make money off of a 68 Mustang, it should be no problem to buy a brand new car and to make money off of that. Well, I was mistaken and very wrong on that. Brand new cars, and even to this day, you do not see me buy brand new cars because of it's such a steep depreciation. I just can't get the value out of it. Now, if I was to buy what I consider a new car, I would probably buy a new car that was used and probably has like 10,000 miles on it. That way, a lot of the depreciation's out. I still get a warranty, still get a new-ish car, but I didn't get it brand new. So some people have a problem with that because they want to be the only owner. And if that's your case, that's totally fine. That's how you do business. For me, I'm always looking at how much am I going to get back out of this and how much money I'm going to have left. If I start out with $1 million and at the end of the day I have $5 left, what am I going to do? I'd like to start out with $1 million and at the end of the day have $10 million. So with that being said, I learned very quickly that buying new cars wasn't the thing to do. I also found that inexpensive, cheaper cars were much easier to make money and flip very quickly than a mid-level car. So something around the $20,000, $30,000 range. Most people don't have that much money, but if you buy something for $3,000 to $5,000, a lot of the population can go out and get that amount of money and buy that from you. So you can make a lot of profit off of these cars. So I've owned everything that you can imagine. I've owned Miatas, Kia Sportages, Ford F-150s. And I use these primarily as my daily driving vehicles because I could put a slew of miles on them, buy them, keep them for a year or two, sell them and lose absolutely no money. And most of the time, because I've taken good care of them, they will actually net me a profit. So that got me into my daily drivers. I then have my cars that I consider like my specialty or collector cars. Now, these are all cars that I have passions for, and I look at the depreciation of each one and try to pick out ones that will be good and not lose me a lot of money. I am by far not the best at this, okay? Let me be honest with you. I have bought cars like the NSX, which I have doubled my value on. Perfect example of how to buy a car and make money. I bought the Bentley, which I bought and lost about half my money on. So that's a perfect example of a car that still had too much depreciation left in it. Do we ever really know? Absolutely not. One of my favorite stories is when I bought my Lamborghini Gallardo. There were 3 cars that I was looking at, and they were all around $100,000. Had the Lamborghini Gallardo, of course. The Ford GT, I know, God, the original Ford GT that came out in what, 2004, 2005, had come down in price. They were depreciating, and they were right at $100,000. And then the one I saw the most is the Jaguar XJ220. At this point in life, I guess it was around somewhere around the 2007-8 mark. They were a $100,000 car. Now, obviously, I chose the Lamborghini Gallardo. I thought that I was making a wise decision. I thought the other two were going to continue to depreciate, and I'd be able to pick them up after the Gallardo. Well, I was mistakenly wrong. The Gallardo, while it didn't lose a lot of money, still lost some value, where the Ford GT, they're now somewhere between $250,000 to $400,000, depending on your model. And the XJ220 is almost $1 million car. I think that they're somewhere at like $600,000 to $800,000. So I definitely missed out on some of that, but it's part of life, and I look at cars all the time at ones that I would like to buy. Hence why I have the collection I do. I think the 2000 Cobra R that I have is definitely going to appreciate. The Dodge Viper that I have is starting to appreciate, where I won't see any value yet, but it's going up. The Humvee is probably going to stay around the same price. I don't expect it to go up too much more. The NSX is going up in value. The Ferrari will lose money, but I wanted that car and I was willing to take the depreciation cut on that one. The Bentley will hold at where it is. It will never probably appreciate anymore. So I've lost money on it, but at least I'm not like the original owner that lost $150,000 on it. I've lost like $20,000 on it, so don't feel bad for me too much. The Aston Martin is one of those that I'll probably keep for a year or two, and I hope that I won't lose a penny on it. I might actually make a few dollars on that one. When I sold the Prowler, I made about $500. When I sold the Z3M, I lost about $500 or $1,000. So this kind of netted out to where it was a net zero. But I look at it this way. If I put that money into a bank account and I collected the 0.01% that my savings account is giving me right now, I'd still have the same amount of money. This way, I get to drive my bank account around. As long as I don't buy anything that's going to depreciate or lose value too much, I keep it in a steady flow. So for example, let's take this. If I have $100,000 and I buy $100,000 worth of cars, I go to sell them, I make $90,000, right? I've lost $10,000, not the worst thing in the world. What if I sell them and I made $110,000? So I've profited $10,000. Realistically, it's no different than being in the stock market for me. It's the ebb and flow. But ideally, I'm just trying to keep that level line and make sure that I'm not losing money. The other big part is how do you even amass this to get there? And the first thing is Dave Ramsey all the way. You have to live like no one else so you can live like no one else. Like I said, I started out in a house that was almost like a trailer. I do not have car payments. I pay cash for everything. Now you're saying, oh, well, that's so easy for you. Well, it wasn't when we first started out. Started out with a $3,000 vehicle. Now that was given to me by my parents for my graduation gift for high school. So I got the car. They gave that to me. I got to drive it, and then when I sold it, the money was mine. I put that into a car, I lost money. So then I started to learn how to do this process better. However, the biggest thing is when you pay off your vehicle, whatever your monthly payment is for that vehicle, you should put into account and not touch it. And that way, when you either want to buy something else or you want to upgrade your vehicle that you have that account that has been accumulating money. And that is basically what I consider free money, because you were used to having that car payment that now you can put into a car that you would like and get an even better one. So that's exactly what I did. These are very simple things, but it took me 24 years to amass what I have now. I also work full-time, so I have a decent salary coming in. I invest in real estate, commodities, and stock market, so I do outside investing and also other businesses, because my ultimate goal is to always make a profit. That's the business in me. That's how I look at things. So if anyone takes anything out of this, I want them to realize it's a 24-year journey that got me to where I am now. Any one of you could do this if you're willing to put those goals into place, be a little bit diligent in how you're spending money. I've always had multiple jobs and I've always had different ventures that try to make money. Now I've lost money in a lot of these, and I look at it this way. I never lose because I'm always learning. A lot of people pay me because I'm a professor, right? I teach them the business techniques. That's exactly the same as me going out and trying these ventures out for myself. Some of them make money, some of them don't, but I learn a lot of lessons from the ones that don't make money. The other thing is build your wealth by losing the debt. So when you pay off your car, make it a priority that you put that money into an account. And the best thing about that is when you go to buy another car or you go to upgrade your own car, you already have the money. You won't even have to worry about it. You'll be able to look at different price ranges and see what you actually want. So that's another thing that you have to do. And the third thing is this: you got to try new things, and you've got to be willing to step outside your comfort zone, and it's going to take time. So if you put all that together, you can definitely accomplish anything you want to. And this isn't just for cars. You might want a pool. You might want a new house. You might want a horse. All of this stuff is just fundamentals of good business. And those are the things that I try to look at. Hopefully this has been helpful for you to get a little bit of an insight into how I've done what I've done. I'm by no means rich or super wealthy. I've done well. I'm not trying to hide that. But I can't go out and buy a mega yacht. I'm not going out and buying brand new supercars. I have to do this based on mathematical principles, and I look at bank accounts and I try to figure out how much it takes and how much I can save each month to get to where I want to go. So if you guys have any questions, comments, please leave those below. I'll try my best to help out as much as possible. And if there's anything else that I can answer for you, leave those in the comments below. But hopefully this answers the biggest question that I get for this channel. All right, guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, and keep coming back. We'll catch you next time.